So we're going to go into a little bit about me. My name is Celine. I graduated with a bachelor's of science from the Ohio State University. From there, started working at Ohio State as a social media manager. And I did a lot of social media for them, but we had around a $20,000 budget. I created content, I created their strategy, and that is where I started. From there, I went over to the Beck Center, and at the Beck Center, which was part of Georgetown University, we did a lot of social impact and policy work. From there, I am currently a digital marketing manager over at Western Governors University. How do I know what platform is right for me? So it's just knowing your audience, the tone of your post, how often you're going to post. So you have all of that. We are going to dive into these 5 social media platforms. And within the following weeks, we'll dive deeper into them. The first one we'll dive into is Twitter. So Twitter is filled with a lot of millennials and a lot of Generation X. It is very quick information that you are gathering. It's what's happening now. It's informative. This is the best place to find what's trending on social media, especially in headlines and in news. So the frequency most people post is 6 to 8 times a day. The next one is Facebook. So on Facebook, there are millennials, Generation X, baby boomers. The tone is softer, more emotional, sentimental. As you could see here, I had a National Geographic image on the Twitter one. It was super short, right? Super short, to the point. On Facebook, you could see that it's longer. They have more information in there. They really want you to pull you into the post and get you to like it, or to get you to share it, or get you to post it. And most people usually only post 1 to 3 times daily on Facebook because their posts are longer, and people are spending more time scrolling through the feed. The next one is Instagram. So currently it reaches a lot of millennials, Generation Z. This is a younger generation. They have a very influencer mindset when they're on this platform. They are very cool, and they're looking for what's trending and what's happening on Instagram. And the frequency that we would post on there is around 1 to 2 times a day. So this is also a screenshot from National Geographic. They're using a lot of cool images and cool visuals to pull a person in, and then they'll link to the different things that they're referring to or referencing as well. So it's good to reuse your content over again, just because as a business owner, I'm sure you don't have a lot of time to just create original content for every single platform. And I think that on the different platforms, if you create using the same visual, at least you can write a different story on your different platforms. So obviously on Twitter, you only have room for maybe a sentence or 2 because you are limited to 280 characters. But on Facebook, you can create this whole story about this new dish that's we have this new dish because our family-owned business decided to come up with this dish that represented our family. And that's why, we have this dish. And on Instagram, it could really be a picture of the family holding the dish and saying, oh, this is who we are. This is our organization. And come check out our new family dish. And so there's different ways that you can use the same idea. You just have to write about it differently on each platform so that you're not posting the same sentence to every single page that you have, because then that gets boring. Because if your customer is following you on every single page, they're seeing the same thing over and over again. And they're kind of why am I following them on these different platforms if they're not posting different things? Just don't use the same words over and over, because then that gets a little underwhelming for people to see.
Okay.
So if they're a business owner and they are just trying to pick what platform to be on, I wouldn't recommend Twitter. It doesn't work for a business. It doesn't work for a restaurant. I would say that Instagram and Facebook are where you want to focus a lot of your time, especially because on Instagram, they have Instagram Reels now. And so if you're posting more video content, they'll see it and people will follow it and interact with it. And that's how you'll get a lot of your places. So both of those, the reason why I recommend them is because they'll tag your business in pictures that they take. So let's say someone on Instagram was dining at your restaurant. They really love the experience. They took a picture there, or they took a picture of the food. Then they'll tag your restaurant, and that will be a way of getting your follower out there. People will, or getting followers on your page, and also getting people into your restaurant, because someone will see that and say, oh, they went there. That looks really good. This platform's LinkedIn. I don't think it's really relatable for the business owners as much as my recommendations, but you get everyone on this platform. It's a lot of thought leadership. It's good for the social impact industry because you could follow a lot of people in the social impact space because they post a lot of their own personal articles, or they post a lot about different things that you can say, oh, like, I really like that. I'm going to grab that content, share it on our page so that other people can see it as well. So that is LinkedIn. And the next one is just TikTok. Generation Z is on there. Sometimes some millennials are on there. I'm on there as a millennial. The tone is super fun and exciting and informative. So like as a business owner, you can like create TikToks, but Instagram Reels is the same thing. And Instagram currently, their algorithm is showing people who are posting Instagram Reels. And so I would rather be over on Instagram, because then that's Instagram and Facebook for you manage, rather than Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. But another thing with that being said, a lot of the videos that you see on Instagram Reels is created on TikTok first and then just pushed over to that platform. So it's the same content going over there. Most people just post like 1 to 2 times daily. Sometimes they'll post more and sometimes they'll post less, depending on if they have a big social media team or if they have a team of one trying to do it all on all the different platforms. And it's really exciting because I think in this age, a lot of people are consuming videos more. So as a restaurant owner, I would kind of go and say, like, live with us through a day of being the general manager, and it would just follow the general manager and all the different things he did, or tag along with our head chef as he creates our favorite dish at the restaurant. There is a lot of different content that you can create, and it's super easy. The head chef is already creating that stuff anyways for the day or for whatever. So you can film him doing all this stuff and just piece it together. Both platforms are super easy to use with video, and you can figure it out really easily on how to create a video and how to put it together with the way that they have their editing stuff on there. Or a question here, and it's asking, is it business dependent on Twitter usage? Because McDonald's, Wendy's, the bigger organizations have Twitter accounts. So yeah, they have Twitter accounts, but I'm going to assume everyone here is not at the level of McDonald's or Wendy's where they have a franchise. I think a lot of the things that you see, especially on those platforms, are people complaining on Twitter of like, hey, McDonald's, when is your ice cream machine is still down? How long is it going to be down for? Or on Wendy's platform, at least they have taken on like a funnier tone with the way they present their Twitter, which I think is great. But I also just think that it's just another platform for, as a business owner, for you to run. And it just is taking up a lot of time. It'll be super time consuming. But if you do want a Twitter account, I'm more than happy to go through it with you. You just have to make sure that it's the right place for you as well. On Twitter, like, those companies just manage their complaints. And usually when I'm looking for a new restaurant to go to, I'm not looking on Twitter for that restaurant. Usually I'm on Instagram trying to see, oh, where are my friends going? Or, oh, I saw my friend's story. They just posted about, this restaurant. I really want to go. Today, we're going to go into finding your audience. We can see the agenda is going to be buyer personas, audience activity, competitors, or what I like to call them, aspirational peers. Then we'll go into customer surveys, Facebook groups. So the first thing we're going to go to is buyer personas and kind of why you need them. I think any successful organization or social media plan or campaign focuses around a buyer persona. These can be representations of the audience that you currently have, the audience that you might like to reach through your marketing. So this will also help just guide and tailor your focus whenever you're doing any social media stuff. Because if you're kind of trying to reach everyone, which is the goal of a lot of people, you want to reach everyone, but you can't really do that successfully all the time. And this will help you really, really get to the focus and get to the content that you're really looking to create. So I kind of made these two buyer personas. Let's say that you are a hip and fresh, authentic restaurant looking to break into the industry. Your two personas, and maybe this is like your target audience. This is kind of who you want to talk to. The first one, you have like the hip foodie. His name is Erik. He loves ethnic cuisine and he loves to travel. He's making the income about like 40,000 to 55,000 a year. His age can be anywhere between 25 and 40. Like he's in the generation where you really are like posting about your food and you're tagging the places you go to. And he obviously, in like the picture you could see here, like he's posting about himself with a friend and like tagging those friends. So he's looking for that community, revolving around food. So that's kind of like your first persona. The second persona we have here is just Tan. He's like a really authentic guy. He's a little older in the age range. So he's between anywhere from 40 to 65. His income is a little bit higher. He's obviously further along in his career, and he does like the ethnic cuisine that you are offering at your restaurant. So let's say that you are offering dumplings at your restaurant, and he's looking for something that is authentic, that will remind him of home or remind him of a cuisine that like you can really not find anywhere else. Whereas Erik, on the other hand, he's just interested in trying new things, and he's interested in trying new foods. And so as a restaurant, this is a way that you can like target your marketing towards people. And so let's say we created these personas. What I would do next is then go to, so now this is a tool by the Pew Research Center. I can link it into the chat for everyone. If I can find the chat, there's a lot of browsers open. Okay, so this is the tool. We can go and see like who's on these different platforms. And then we could go also, now you can really see, okay, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, where am I putting my focus based on those two persona profiles that I created? So we can see, okay, like 73% of people are on Facebook, and from the age range of 50 to 64. That is actually one of my persona profiles, Tan. And so I'm going to be on Facebook because most of them are going to be there. For Erik, who was the foodie, younger Insta, like they're mostly on Instagram. So you can see that like through here, this is where you would want to target. And this could change, this could be different, but as long as you set this stuff, this will help guide you as well, especially if you're kind of starting out and you don't know where you want to go with what social media platform that you start on. So the next thing is you have to figure out your audience activity. That's kind of like where we have figured, where we saw like, okay, now these personas, okay, now they're on these platforms. Now what do I do? This is a way to help you prioritize like what's going on. For example, like older generations have increased the fact that they have used Facebook in the past 4 years. So right now we can see that there's an influx of them going on Facebook. So it's like, oh, okay, one of my target audiences on there, I need to be on there. But Twitter would appeal to a younger audience. So if you're trying to find like that balance of saying, okay, I want to target the older generation, but I want to target the younger generation as well, then you could go and figure out, okay, now I'm in this in between. And then once you've kind of figured out the posts that work on one platform or the posts that don't work on another platform, then you could really start to target those groups and figure out if they're actually interested in your restaurant or not, or if they're actually interested in your content or not. So if you're posting stuff and no one's liking it, then you're like, oh shoot, maybe I'm talking about this the wrong way, or maybe I need to post a more appealing image with this post so that people are engaging with it and they're liking with it. So this is kind of, after you set those personas, you're going to have to play with how to reach them on each profile. The next part of this is trying to find your like competitors. I hate calling them competitors because I think that everyone should be on the same team and in it together. I like to call them your aspirational peers. So obviously you aren't the one at the end of the day who is going to be the first person to do it all. You aren't going to be the only Chinese dumpling place in New York City. Obviously that there are a lot out there. And so look at what they're doing on social media. And those followers are your followers, right? If they're following that organization, why are they following them? And how can you get them to follow you as well? One of the tricks that a lot of organizations like to do is they like to go to their aspirational peers, go to that follower list and start following those other people on that list from your restaurant profile. And they'll say, oh, this restaurant followed me. Why? I wonder why. I wonder what they're about. So they'll click on your profile and they'll see, oh, wow, like I love the way they make their dumplings. Look at this cool video that they posted or something. I want to go visit there. So that's a way that you can use your aspirational peers and their audience and network and start integrating that together as well. Another thing you could do is you could search like terms, like hashtags on each social media profile on what your competitors are showing up for. And then you can make sure that you're using those hashtags as well in your posts so that you're showing up alongside them and making sure that you are part of their network or their reach that they're showing out to. Do you have any questions on kind of aspirational peers and how to take their content without actually taking their content? I think we're trying to enhance your own followership, but then also if your competitors are staying on top of trends, then you have to make sure that you are following and staying on top of those trends as well. If you're trying to create your own brand, I think that you can see how they create their own brand and then find your differentiator from that brand. So like, let's say you both are Chinese dumpling restaurants, but one restaurant really focuses on, I don't know, like a specialty type of dumpling. But then your restaurant focuses on the fact that it is a local family restaurant and it's been a family recipe for years on how you've made these dumplings. And that's how you go into it. I think that's a good way to say, okay, like we're both doing it this way, but what is our differentiator and how are we different? And hold that status above our competitors. And it's nice because sometimes when you're following them, they're giving you ideas on what to do on your profile so that you don't really have to go out there and do a lot of work or do a lot of research. It's kind of there in front of you. So this next one is the customer survey. And I think this one's really good because they're already coming into your restaurant or they're already coming into your space or they're already following you. And if you survey them, you can really figure out like from them what social media networks they prefer and what they would like to see from your content, or why you can ask like why they follow you or what are the other people that they're following so you can follow them and create that similar content so then they're more inclined to interact with you and engage with you. The last thing I have on here is Facebook groups. They are becoming really, really popular because they are creating these super niche communities. And so if we go back, we can remember, right? We have ERIK and he likes to travel. So if you go into like a travel Facebook group, you can find people who are similar to ERIK, who like the ethnic cuisine and like to travel and other things like that. in these groups, and you can post in there as a restaurant and say, hey, everyone, we love to travel too. Like, come join us in our restaurant as we give you a taste of our dumplings and a taste of our culture. There are a lot of things that you can do in these groups to kind of see, okay, like, let's see if posting in this group works, and let's see if it doesn't work. Not only can you use that to your advantage, you can also just like be part of the group and kind of creep and see, oh, okay, like, our audience really talks in this tone, or our audience really responds well to this tone, or they're posting a lot about this. Should I start posting more about it so that they start following me on my social media profiles? I think that there's a way to see these communities and be part of one your own. Not saying that you have to create a Facebook group, but creating that community on your Facebook page is also something that's super important as well. Today, I'm going into Facebook 101. So for the agenda, it's why Facebook, the main audience types, the content types, and then tips and tricks that we will use for, Facebook and other things. So if we continue on. So this one here is like, why Facebook? There's a lot of different reasons, but I think here are the 6 main ones that I have like stuck with. So Facebook is the most popular social network. And I think we've talked about this before. And as we've seen on like the Pew research, it just like encompasses all the demographics. So you can have there are over 1.4 billion users, and of those 1.4 billion users, 9 million users visit Facebook every single day. I know my job is in Facebook, and so I am visiting it every day, even more than so in a couple of days, but it is simply a platform that you can't not be on. Facebook, I think there was also a point in time, I think when MySpace was around, it was kind of like, oh, like, is MySpace going to stick or is Facebook going to stick? And Facebook has found a way to continue to stay relevant in a lot of social media users' lives, especially with their merger with Instagram. And so that makes it a lot easier for the 2 platforms to talk to each other and for you to post on those platforms as well. Then we go into just all the demographics. So like we can have really young people on it. So from like 18 to 29 use it, over to the age of like 50 to 64. So there's a good age range on there for you to really reach anyone you want to. My other fun fact on here is that Facebook users on average spend 40 minutes a day on the site. So it is a good way to keep users engaged on the platform because people are usually already on there spending their time. I think 40 minutes is a lot for one social media networking platform. Another thing is that their advertising, their paid advertisings, which we'll talk about on Wednesday, is super affordable. Like, it is really easy to do advertising on Facebook with a very small budget. Like, some people have used $5 to target something to like boost a post and other things. So that's also a good way for Facebook. And then they just have really highly targeted like measures when you're doing these paid campaigns. So you could really target anyone based on like a lot of different things. And so they just know how to get all that information from people. And then the last thing is that Facebook lets you reach out to website customers. And we'll talk about that like later in my tips and tricks sections. There's a pixel that you can put into your website that will kind of track who's coming to your website and kind of gather this like audience profile for you, which is awesome. The next thing I would like to go into is just like the content type. I have a lot of different examples on here because I really want you to understand like the vast things that you can do on Facebook and how you can really like target people and then see what works for you. So My first content type is asking a question. So this is from Scholastic. I hope a lot of you remember Clifford the Big Red Dog. I grew up watching him. I don't know if he's still on TV at all, but I just like really enjoyed it. And so this content type is asking a question to engage your audience. So today in this post, it just says, "What will you read today?" And it's a great way to see like what your audience will comment and say, "I'm reading this," or "I'm reading that." And then you could take those responses that they have and say, "Oh, that's a great book," or whatever else. There's different ways that you can engage with your audience by asking one simple question. And I think people love that about social media. Like people can comment on there and kind of like build a community around that. Also with this one, like, please ask a question that like starts with like what or where or how or why, because if we're asking a question that's just like a yes or no answer, then you're not really going to get the best type of engagement on there. This next one is behind the scenes content. I really like behind the scenes content because on Facebook, you're really thinking about that emotional community effect. And so with this behind the scenes type form is a type of they're just like a team, font team that creates like the different fonts that you'll see. So on type form they were like, "Oh, it's National Pet Day, here's a picture of like our different type forms like furry friends." And I thought that was really great because it kind of gives a different like personal level to the story that people are seeing on Facebook about your brand. It's not just like, "Oh, we're trying to sell you our brand," or "We're trying to sell you our restaurant so you can come to our restaurant." It's like, "Oh, we are like people who are passionate and we love it." And that is kind of why I really enjoy like the behind the scenes content, because it seems like you get to know them on like a different level than you would as a brand. So I think the text is really important. Photos will just always attract the people to like read into the text. And so I always recommend posting photos with any content that you have on there because it will attract the person even more. So I would always say that the text is more important than the photos that you are seeing. But the photos will be the first impression of the post, if that makes sense at all. The next content type is trending topics. Obviously, like this is a stay home topic, or that was trending, and it's not trending anymore. So hopefully we'll be back to normal. But so this one is just like, "There's never a better time to stay home with a good book." And this is Dr. Seuss. And they said, "We may have a few suggestions, but as long as you're doing it from the comfort of your own home, you can't go wrong." And they, hashtagged a bunch of different hashtags on here. So like, again, like with my recommendation, they didn't put like a line or a dash or anything here. So it feels like it's like part of the text and it does look a little bit sloppy. My thing is that like I would space it down a little bit more and have it away from just the main text, because even if it's in there, like people can still search it and find it. It just wouldn't look as clean as if they didn't have it just showing up right there. And then they got creative and they used like little Dr. Seuss pins here, and they created, they spelled out "stay home," which I thought was really cute. And it was a graphic that like really caught my attention. My next one is the branded graphics. I think we've talked about this before. I think one of the ideas that I had was like for Juneteenth and like creating that graphic for like your organization. And then like if people share it, they can share it and they'll have like your brand name there so that they know that. They'll have like your handle there so that if they wanted to follow your handle, and obviously like if you got the source from anywhere, you could probably like put it down here. You can see in this post right here, they're asking a question, right? So it's one of the, like, it's a common thing used across a lot of different brands that they ask that question in there. This is a really funny post. I thought it was great. And you can obviously be serious with these content posts as well, like on Canva, and creating like a graphic to go with it. The next one is storytelling. So I'm sorry, this post was like really long and I tried to like fit it all in there. So Melissa Griffin is a like personal life coach type of person. She does a lot of different like workshops around like building yourself up and building confidence and how to rock it in an interview and how to nail your next position. I think that these are great. This is also another kind of like behind the scenes type of content. So you're telling the story of like why you decided to make a decision, or telling the story of like who you are and like why you decided to create that company or that brand or other things like that. I think it's a really great personal feeling. And this is probably one of the longer posts that you can put on Facebook, because people are looking for that. People are looking for a way to connect with you, and by not just like, oh, liking your picture on Instagram or other things like that. Like they like to get into your head and like know, okay, like this is what she's thinking. So I think people will get tired if they're seeing long post after long post after long post. And I think that having that mix in will actually create like a sense of, oh, like they posted a long post, like let me take the time to read it, because they usually don't do this. Thing I have here is content types. So a video, product photos. This is more of like for if you did have like products to sell or other things like that. I thought it was really cool because I've never seen Oreo have like a YouTube channel, and like they created like 30 to like 40-second animation videos about Oreos bringing people together. And I thought it was so cool. Like some of them are really funny. And they like really found a way to showcase like this community and have it be in these little videos. The last one I think we've also touched on a little bit. It's infographics and blog posts. I think it's a great way to pull people in on Facebook, especially if you want to drive them to your website or wherever else. Because once they click on the blog post, they're already on your website. And then maybe they'll click to another blog post, and maybe they'll go over and see like what your organization is all about. And so it's a way to get them to interact with you. My last slide is tips and tricks. There are a lot of different ones on here. These are like my top 4 that I would use and that are like free to use as well. So the first one is to optimize your profile page. Make sure that you have your website on there. Make sure that you have your business hours on there. Make sure you have contact information on there. Make sure you have your location on there. Greatest ways to get like your information out there. If you can see like my tip in the pink right here is like use your Facebook page for customer service. So there are a lot of different things where you could say like, oh, we're closed today, make sure you don't show up. Or you put on like your Facebook Messenger replies. So you can only do this on like a Facebook business page, but on like these Facebook business pages, you can set different replies or like different questions. So I don't know if you've ever gone to a company Facebook page, but it'll say like, hi, what can I help you with today? And it'll give you like 3 different options. And it'll say like business hours, location, other. So I think that that's also a great way to have like the customer service like aspect of it. And it's also a way to just like optimize your profile page and make sure that like your page can answer as many questions as possible, so that they really don't have to spend a lot of time either looking for it or like answering those questions. One of the big things on there on the red here is storytelling. So make sure that you are adding to your Facebook story. So if you have an Instagram and you have a Facebook, it actually connects. So you could have it just say, every time I post on my Instagram story, make sure the same post goes to my Facebook. This is a way to keep you relevant and ensure that they're clicking on your profile page. So if they see your story and it's a story about, an event that you're hosting, and then like at the bottom of it, it's like go to our profile for more information, or like link in bio. And so they'll click on it and visit your profile, and then hopefully see like other content that they like want to engage with. And then the last one that I have on here is the Facebook pixel. So if you, there's a tracking code that you can add to your website from Facebook, and it will track who is visiting your page, and it'll track the different audience and the different demographics. And you can take that. So it's the people who visit like your Facebook page that go to your website and other things. And then you can take that information and use it. And we'll talk more about it on Wednesday, but you can use it in your like different paid like money campaigns that you would use like on Facebook. And it's a great way for you to track that and make sure that you're like targeting those people who are actually, who care and who want to visit your website and who have been browsed on your website before. And it's just a free way to track who's coming to your website. So you can see like the different audience demographics that are on there as well. Instagram 101. We're going to go through like the same format that we did for Facebook. So why Instagram, the main audience types, the content types that you can do, and then just the tips and tricks as well. Instagram's great because no matter what size of your business, like you will thrive. Large companies as well as mom and pop shops to entrepreneurs really can use Instagram to their advantage. Another thing is that businesses can make money directly from Instagram. So a lot of their Instagram features have like a shop now tab. So you could click on the tab and it shows you all the different like posts, or like if you follow any clothing companies on Instagram, you could see them tag like every tag in a picture, every specific thing that the model is wearing. And you could from there be like, okay, I want that watch, and it'll tag the watch and you could click on it and buy it straight from Instagram. And you don't even leave the Instagram platform at all. And I think we've talked about how even with Facebook, there was one of those Facebook ads that you don't leave the platform and you're still in there. And that helps businesses make their money, because if a person had to go from this platform to that platform to that platform, you lose them along the way because they're like, oh no, I don't want to jump there. I want to stay on Instagram. A next thing is that, so stories make your business relatable. Like I've talked about, it's just that humanizing aspect behind it. So like the behind the scenes, the question and answer sessions, and like Instagram lives, like that's a great way to like relate with your audience. And then the last one is you can partner with influencers. I don't think influencers were a thing until Instagram really showed up on the map. And now being able to have so many different influencers who really specialize in different things. So like I know that there are a bunch of like food Instagram influencers out there that people follow nowadays. My friend is one in Columbus actually, and she like goes to all these restaurants, and restaurants reach out to her and say, hey, like, will you post about us? Come in for a free meal. And like she gets a free meal out of it. So the next thing is the main audiences. So the Instagram audience really is limited. You are following the millennial generation on here, also Gen Z, and then whoever, whatever generation following after that, if it's even still relevant for them. And these age groups, if it's 35 and up, women outnumber the men, but men actually have Instagram over women in the like 18 to 35 age range, which was actually very surprising for me to find out as well. So the next thing is we're going to go into like the different content. And I think the first one that I showed for Facebook was also asking a question. And here's Starbucks doing it for Mother's Day. And then, like I said, with Facebook, like the people who comment on there will also create you, help you create new topics for the future. And then you could also, like, if you have a new product or something, like say, hey, like, would you come in and try this, or like, look at this? And people can post like, oh, I've tried that, I really like it. Or like, oh, I tried that unicorn drink and it was awful. It just looks pretty with all the different colors. So something like that. Then we can go into another content type, which is tutorials. And I've seen this a lot on Instagram. This is a food blogger out of Boston, and she posted like one of her favorite like meals to make. And this isn't interactive. I'm sorry, because I had to like screenshot it and I couldn't get it to embed correctly in the PowerPoint. But if you scroll down more, she kind of talks about, oh, like it serves 2 people. Here's the recipe and here's how you do it. Like, let me know if you try it. And she obviously took a great picture of the meal. I think meals that on Instagram and other things look way better than when you try it in real life. The next piece of content is behind the scenes, and we've talked about this before as well. It kind of shows like how hard they've been working and why you should show up, because they've been working so hard behind the scenes to get it done. So this content type is a new one. It's called Ask Me Anything. This is a story that goes on your Instagram. Obviously, like this can also apply for Facebook if you wanted it to. This is one of my favorite clothing companies, ASOS, and they did a Ask Us Anything holiday edition. And so they kind of gave examples here of like, oh, like what to wear, where to go, travel essentials, like ask us, in these different categories. And so this person asked what to wear on a city break in the sun. And they said, wear this and tag it. And now if someone is seeing this, they're like, oh, I didn't know that they had this great white top. Like I want to see if I can get it. Or I didn't know that they had this hat. I want to see if I can get it. And this is where Instagram is really good at saying, okay, swipe up right now so you can buy it right now. And it's just that like instant gratification of not even leaving the platform to do that. The next one is sharing user content. So I think a lot of people have seen the like hashtag shot on an iPhone hashtag, and like I can never get my pictures or videos to look the way that they do on their shot with an iPhone hashtag. But obviously this person, Kate R, was able to get this beautiful picture of her pup on Instagram, and Apple decided to share it. And I think that's a great way, because users share this stuff because they want to, blow up or be viral or something like that. So this is one of the great examples of that. And it's free content for you to use, especially if you create a hashtag that people are using it on. The last one is trends and memes. Instagram is known for a lot of their different memes, but also for just different trends. This is the John Mayer bottle cap challenge. And I think this was popular, I think last year, if I'm getting this correct. I think it's all like blending together. But this was when he, decided to kick off the bottle cap and whatever else. But it's a good way to relate to your users because they're seeing that trend everywhere. They're probably trying the trend themselves. And also, like, if you have different memes that you've created, I forgot to include the screenshot here, but I think everyone knows like Chick-fil-A and, the memes that they use to say like, eat more chicken. And it's like the cow that they have there. So that's also a great way to get your users engaged too, because of the meme culture that we live in today. So the last one is just the tips and tricks, super similar to Facebook. So make sure you optimize your profile page to have everything like your hours, your address, your location, your link. Keep adding to your stories. So do like the Ask Me Anything stories, or do the behind the scene content. And the other thing is, it says use Facebook for customer service. It means to say use Instagram for customer service. That's also a way that your users will reach out to you and try to ask you questions. My biggest thing here is the influencer marketing. Think about the people who will help your brand and how it's such a low lift for them, because once you partner with them, they kind of take it and make it their own brand. So like I was talking about with my food influencer friend here in Columbus, they reach out to her and she creates the content, she writes the content, she takes the pictures and she posts them. None of it is the work of like the restaurant, and her like payment is just, you know, receiving that free meal or receiving a gift card to the restaurant or other things like that. And that's kind of how they work. I know some influencer collaborations like take more effort than others, but if there are people, let's say in the Minneapolis area that are just well known for like, you know, exploring Minneapolis, because there are a lot of like Instagrams out there like that. Like there's one in Columbus called Life in Columbus, and it posts about, you know, the different events that are happening in Columbus and the different like food places that are opening, the different restaurants that are really thriving. And it also posts about just like local news as well. So we had a new soccer stadium built, and they kind of posted about like how the soccer stadium was built, what the inside looks like. They showed like, you know, the opening day at the first game. So it's a lot of just influencer stuff that like I follow because I live in the city and I want to know like what that's like. So if there are Instagrams out there that you can think of that do that, and if you can't think of any, I would go to Instagram and like use the hashtag maybe, or of like hashtag Minnesota, and see if there are people that show up there that have a huge following, and then see if you could message them and ask to collaborate with them. So that would be something maybe for the event that you have on July 31st, to see if maybe they're willing to post about it on their story or something like that as well. So where to find the content, depending on what organization that you work for, or what type of industry you're in, these are kind of the different sources where you would find information. So when I worked in policy, I definitely did a lot of Google News search. I would look up different researches for different policies that we wanted to push across, different social impact things that were happening in the industry. So I definitely went onto Google News a lot to find relevant information to post on our social media profiles, so people could find the correct information and not have it be misinformation for people, because there was a lot of misinformation during that time around what was happening and what was going on. The newsletters is what I follow from different organizations. So sometimes I follow newsletters from other organizations that were in the same industry as us. So I would follow, there was a Center for Social Entrepreneurship over at Santa Barbara University, and I would follow them and make sure that I got their information and what they were doing to see if we could ever collaborate with one another, if we could ever work with one another, or just as because they were part of our network, I wanted to share what they had on there. Another place is just the people and organizations that you follow. I make sure to follow people that interest me. I make sure to follow people that are in the same industry. So for me, I am in a lot of like higher ed marketing. And so I follow a lot of different universities. I follow a lot of different social media managers for those universities as well, because it's nice to keep them in my network. They also just keep me fresh and up to date with things that are happening, especially because on social media, things change so often and so quickly. Next thing is just pop culture. Pop culture is what's trending at the time. And it's good to know that stuff because it keeps your hashtags and your content really fresh and relevant for people to see, and they'll be excited to see that stuff as well. As for people I follow, there are like 20 to 30 main ones that I follow, and I'll check their feed most of the days just because I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And then from there, like if they're tagging other people or if there are other organizations that I'm thinking of, then I'll go to their feed just for a little bit and just to see what's going on. So it's kind of like an everyday thing where I check what's going on in the industry and what's happening there. As for the news sources in Google News, so from here, usually I'll just go to like Google News. Let's say Juneteenth was this past weekend, and I wanted to post about Juneteenth, and we really wanted to get some content out there for that. So I'll search up Juneteenth. If you guys are all on Facebook, then I'm sure you've seen the advertisements before, and just have not had like the names for them. And I'm here to kind of tell you what the names are and the different types and like how you would use them. So there are, I would say, 5 main types, but I'm going to add Facebook boosts at the end, kind of like as a extra part of the advertisement. Like you'll have to have the different pieces that we talk about today first to be able to like boost a post. So that there are 5 main ones, but there is one just like special one. So our first one is a image ad, and they allow you to kind of show off your product in like a single photo with like a little bit of text, but also this button here would kind of be like your call to action. So every ad that you'll ever make will have to include a call to action, because if not, then it's kind of pointless to have that advertisement there, right? So if you can see, like this is Jasper's Market, and they were like, look at what our chefs are doing. Their call to action here could be visit our website to see the menu or to see the new menu. Next one we have here, I can't play the video. I couldn't get it to like use it properly. But this is a like sort of video ad. Spotify does really cool like features with the artist. And so this one was playing like a Simon Garfunkel song, and it was like showing the album artwork, and it was like moving in motion. So this is a really like unique way. I think video, like I mentioned before, is king, and people are more attracted to like getting the information from your video in 15 seconds rather than reading your post for 15 seconds. And this is also a way to just deliver like one very clear message through your video. They were very simple. They said, play millions of songs free. And then we'll go into carousel ads. So this one was like a really fun one. Like I think you could get super creative with carousel ads. BarkBox, obviously, like they stretched out their wiener dog in like the picture. So it kind of first thing compels you to like scroll through and continue to scroll and see like maybe what they have offered. This is a great way to advertise like multiple things at once, especially if you have like great product image, or if there's a story you want to tell, like the way that they're saying this in BarkBox. And then like one of my things is that like you could create a larger canvas, which is also what they're doing here as well. You could feature like different watches, or if Spotify was doing this, they could feature different artists and say, listen now to this artist on Spotify. The next one is an instant experience ad. I couldn't find screenshot examples for this one, but basically the way the instant experience works is that if you're scrolling through the feed on your phone, it pops out the way that this is showing you right here into like its own little browser. So it's like you don't even leave the Facebook app to get this experience. It's a good one because then like people are sort of more like reluctant to stay on your page because they are what's the word? Like they're still in Facebook and they haven't left Facebook, but it's a customized experience that looks like your brand. And they also have custom templates for you to build. So then this last one, the collection ad, is like what it sounds like. So it includes that instant experience ad that we showed beforehand, and also a like single image ad or like a carousel ad. You can see here, like just Jasper's Market again, and they have like different images here. But when you click on it, you can see that it takes you into this like instant experience. It's immersive into your brand, and you can shop from right there. from the page. So this kind of brings it all in, and it keeps people like engaged with you and gets your like brand awareness out there. We have to be smart about which ones we're using. Obviously, like a lot of people are using image ads and video ads, but if you really want to spend the time and create like a collection ad or an instant experience ad that really gets you the impressions and the interactions that you're looking for, especially when you're advertising. You can spend $10. It can get you, like, especially on an image ad, I think it will get you far. I think the instant experience ones, the carousel ads, the collection ads, like those cost more. And then Facebook boosts, I think like $10 would go a long way, especially if you're smart about where you want that allocation to go and like how you're showing up in other people's feeds as well. The last one is Facebook Boost. I don't have a slide for it because it really is just a image ad or a video ad that you have on your personal timeline. And there's a little area that you can say like, boost this post here. And you can click on it and you could go through like the different steps. You can also like create a post without having it be on your timeline. And that would be like an advertisement. It just looks like a post on someone's timeline. A boosted post is just a post that you've already put on your Facebook page organically without having to pay for it because you posted it yourself. And then it's something that you want to boost that you're like just clicking on because you're like, oh, I like the way that is. But a advertisement that you're building from the back end, that's different because you're actually creating all of that because you specifically want to advertise it. But it looks the same, it does, but like the way you go about it is different. Okay, advertisement definitely takes more time to build, but it will hopefully reach more people than your Facebook boosted posts will do. So I think when Facebook created Facebook Boost, it was another way of getting an organization to spend money on a post so that it gets that visibility in a simple and easy way. And their ad center is like a little bit more complicated if you're running like an actual campaign, but it does take more effort. So when you're on the page, you would click on Ad Center, where we went to last time. And then we would click on Create Ad. So let me take a screenshot of this. So we have that, and we would click on Create Ad. From there, we would sort of like pick the ad that we wanted to go with. And I think the last time we decided that we would create an ad rather than boost a post so that we would reach different audiences. So we'll click this there. And this was all the different engagements that we wanted. And I think we decided that we wanted to get more website visitors as the goal on this advertisement. So now you can see that it gives you like a little preview here of everything. And now this is where we put in the text, but I cannot remember what text we were putting into it. The post that we had, the one that you wanted to
be a little further down. Whoop.
It was this one, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so I think this was the link that we wanted to use. And we'll put that in here. The button label will be sign up.
Sign up, yeah.
And then I think the description I want to say is like, and then I don't remember what the headline was that we had here.
Yeah, it was a fairly short one. I think it was just.
It looks like they have one here made for us, vaccination event at Hmong Community Day. So if we wanted to do
Yeah.
that one as well. Vaccination. Oh, we're out of space. I wonder if we just keep it. I think if we keep it empty, it'll populate that for us.
Oh, okay.
And then I think the other things that we wanted to do is target the people.
Right.
So if we edit it here, the gender's all, and then I think the location was
Brooklyn Park.
Brooklyn Park,
Minnesota. Yep, there you go.
So this is where you're really going to have to think about the money that we have and the people that you are willing / want to reach. So I would say, because it's like the money you have, but you also have to bid, right? You have to bid to make sure that the competition who is also targeting Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis, is like you're paying more than them so that you can show up in someone's newsfeed or timeline.
Okay.
So if you are targeting all these different options, you do have the option of being shown more, but you also should have the budget to beat other people who are also targeting those same people that you're targeting. So what I would say here is that since this event is like only in this area, and like really if you do live 20 miles away, you would drive in, then that's fine. But if you don't think that people living 20 miles away would drive to this area to get the shot, then I wouldn't add that 20 miles in, because then I could bid higher for like that audience. And because I could bid higher for that audience, then I would get shown to more people in the area who's like actually relevant about it. And then you can see down where the arrow is, where like you can see the potential reach of people. So this is where it's defined by like the areas that you're selecting currently. If you are reaching more people, that means you're competing against more advertisers. And so every time, like the money that you're spending, like if you're spending $5 a day, you have to bid against different competitors, and the highest bid will win and the ad will be shown. So I think like it's a hard balance. And I think that if you have a small budget, I would recommend targeting people who you know will show up to the event, rather than people who may or may not show up to an event that's 50 miles away, because I'm pretty sure 50 miles is still like an hour drive. Mm-hmm. But it's also like you have to run the campaign and say, okay, like if we want to make the radius 50 miles away, and nobody is really seeing our advertisement because our budget is only $5 a day, let's drop that number or bid higher. So it's like it's a strategy game that you have to play when you are thinking about advertisement and how much money you have and other things like that. So in this example, I think I would suggest, if you did want to reach more people, then you will have to monitor the campaign to make sure that it's actually getting impressions and that people are actually like signing up. And then if that's not it, then maybe you need to drop the like radius so that you're not competing with that many people. And hopefully then you'll be able to get shown more and more people are signing up. Now, just a couple of things just about the audience. just for like business owners and other things, we can get more specific. So I think earlier in these sessions, I was talking about like the different personas that you can set and the different people that might be interested. That's where you can get more specific and spend more money targeting those people if you know those people are going to show up. So I think a couple of things is that like, oh, like there's this person really likes yoga, or like, oh, I know that my audience will be like a business owner, other things. Like if we hit browse on detailed targeting, there's so much you can target. So you can target relationships or where they work or their education or their financials. And then if you go and that's just demographics. But if you click on like their interests or their behaviors, those are where you can really break into, okay, this is that persona type that I built. And how do I go into like the different behaviors and interests that they have and really target them and really get them to understand like that they are, you know, like part of this. And then you could spend more money this way, because even though you are being specific, it might narrow your audience. You could be more like you can actually get real results from people who are better for your organization than just targeting like just a general area or other things like that. If you think about those persona profiles as well, just for targeting in the future. So we can go into their detailed targeting and say, okay, like we want to target parents.
Parents, yeah.
All the parents, because or all parents with teenagers from the age of 13 to 17, because I think it's only opened to 12 and up for the vaccine, right? So
yeah,
we can select that and make sure, okay, like it's only getting shown to parents with these teenagers because it's really only relevant for them, because maybe their kid hasn't been able to get signed up for it or whatever else. See, so this is also another thing where it's like, oh, we could select all parents and we could reach more people, but that means that there's just more targeting out there and it's not as specific. So these are different things that you want to think about when you're thinking about like your audience and your ad.
I'm thinking also the 18 to 26 years, because right now that's the group that's getting the most cases, COVID cases, right? Because that's a group that I think they're invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I would pick 18 to 26 and 13 to 17. What do you think?
I agree. That would be like a good group to target.
Yeah.
And then I think that there are other things in here like life events, which I don't really know would be something if you wanted to have that there, or like maybe if their interests are things that will be at the community day. I'm not sure exactly what will be there, but you can select that to like really be specific about it, because then you are targeting people who you know will show up.
Yeah.
And maybe the sports and outdoors, that would be something we really want people to come out. This is part of the effort from Hennepin County Park. So they want people who are interested at the outdoors to join the event.
So it looks like for our outdoor options, this is kind of all we have. If any of that relates to any of the stuff, or maybe sports. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any like just like outdoor at all, because it looks like we can't just select that one. Yeah. Or maybe hobbies and activities could be one.
Arts and music, yeah. Performing arts.
Sure.
Performing arts. It's also a current event that's happening, so it could be selected for that.
Yeah.
And we will have like yoga demonstration, that type of thing. So would that be some of
That would
those?
probably be, I think, back in outdoor recreation, maybe. Maybe not.
Yoga's not real sport.
Yeah, apparently not. I don't see it.
Yoga will probably be like something
Maybe
under
it could be
fitness, wellness.
Something. Yoga, here.
Interest. Okay.
So you can also, if you just don't want to like go through this stuff, we can search up here. So maybe we can find outdoor. There's outdoor recreation.
Yeah.
Which would probably work for that as well. And then if there's anything else that you guys would like to search too.
I think
Maybe
that's good.
It's their community, to see if there's maybe a group with just like for Asian American. Yeah. Yeah. So if we think that this is good, then we can hit back. And so now you can see that it's targeting people in the Brooklyn Park radius of 25 miles. And then it'll also target people who have one of the following in their description as well, outside of just being within the 25-mile radius of Brooklyn Park. So parents and adult children, 18 to 26, parents with teenagers, 13 to 17, they can be interested in performing arts, current events, yoga, or outdoor recreation. And so that dropped our reach a little bit. So now it's potentially 1.2 million rather than 1.7.
Yeah.
And we can see that on the meter of where they're like, oh, from specific to broad, we're still somewhere in the middle, which is good because then we aren't being too specific where we're really limiting the audience, but we're not being too broad where we're just going to spend all the money to people who that may or may not show up to the event.
Yeah.
So we can hit save audience.
Okay.
And then if we'll continue to go down more, you can see like how long you want it to run for. I think what the event is on the 31st. So I would just like, this is where you start to think about how much money you have and how much budget you have. So you can see that a person who spent $5 a day reached about 540 people to 1,600 people with spending $5 a day. But so if you're spending $5 a day for 7 days, that means you are reaching, like you're spending around $35. And Facebook, there's settings that you can set where as soon as you spend those $5, it won't spend anything else for that day. For this event, since it's a timely event, I would run this campaign closer to July 31st. So maybe like the week before, if you only want to spend like however much, or you can run it maybe like 3 or 4 days before and spend $10 a day. That's always something that I try to think about, like what the, what the like bidding will look like. And so you can't just, it's also another thing when you're creating an ad, it's not like a Facebook boost where you just like don't have to monitor it at all. Paid campaigns have to be monitored because you have to know like if your ads are getting shown and if the bid that you're bidding for the advertisement is working. And that's always like the hard thing to know every day, or that's always a hard thing to know if you're not looking at the campaign every day. So usually like my day-to-day role, if there's a paid campaign running, I will check that campaign in the morning, I'll check it in the afternoon, and I'll also check it right before I log off to make sure that we are staying on budget with things and making sure we're not going over budget and making sure that we are still reaching people.
Where do we check?
Well, I don't want you to run it right now because it says promote now. If you go to the top, I think there should be a space to save it. So this is like a really great web page that I found. It's through Facebook Business, and they actually can choose like different placements for you and show you what that looks like. It also gives you size image recommendations. So it looks like they've changed it to actually be the square on mobile when you're looking at it. They have text recommendations and how many texts you should have in there, maximum file size, the width, the height, other things in here that's like really great. And when you are selecting these, you can kind of see the different placements and like the different recommendations that they have for you. So I think that this is going to be great to use for any organization thinking about placing different advertisements. So as you can see here, this is the Facebook feed post that we were kind of creating last week. This was like the Facebook right column. So if you're scrolling through, it's like a little right column there, and it'll show you like different, you could choose it to say different things. And it would kind of be like a mock-up that way, or like the instant articles that we were talking about and what that would look like in a feed. And they have the different recommendations on the side as well. Or like if you wanted to create a Facebook story, and I know that we were talking about Facebook stories last week as a way of like utilizing your Facebook really well, and it gives you the different sizes here as well. Another thing is that we can click and create an ad, which will take you to the ad center that we were at. Or if you go back, you can create like a mock-up. And in this creative hub, you can kind of see what it'll look like before you even have to like create it itself. So, and then we'll go through here. And then this is just where like the payment method will go through. I think there was a Facebook pixel added to the website, right? So then this should be able to track it if you click Facebook pixel and turn it on.
Yeah.
Yep. But this is kind of just everything that you would use to go through it. It's super straightforward, especially because they give you the goals here. So they kind of set up like based on the different goals that you choose, what your creative would look like, what the preview will look like, and the estimated results. But like I said, always, always, always monitor it because what they're giving you may not be exactly what you're seeing, and making sure that you adjust your budget accordingly too. So when you put all this together, this spreadsheet will actually turn into a really cool thing called a Google Data Studio like dashboard. And so you can create this dashboard and you could filter it by, okay, here's like the date. I want to know what were my top posts in June of 2021. And it'll show you, here are all the different posts, here are the top posts, and I can filter it now by, okay, here's the top engagement rates. Here, let me filter it by how many people clicked on our stuff, or let me filter it by how many people shared our stuff. So this is a great way to see that data and start to understand, okay, if why did 117 people click on this post right here? And then we could click on it and see, okay, we're talking about the healthcare system. This guy, he was the former chief medical officer for the Trump administration. And so he was in the news recently for a lot of different things. And we got a lot of engagement on this because it was kind of talking about like the healthcare system and the mistakes that it's making and other things like that. So now we can start to like rationalize, okay, this post is working. Let me do something like this. And it could have been the time we posted. So it doesn't say here like specifically what time we posted at, but if we go into the raw data, it would say that. And we could say, okay, we posted at this time. Let's try posting at this time again on this same day. So it's a lot of testing it and making sure that you're tracking how you're testing it. And for us, we found that the best times to post are 11 o'clock in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and then like 6 o'clock. So now you can kind of see like, okay, now I can see my trending engagement rate over this time, right? And we could see, oh, there was a big spike on April 12th. I wonder why this big spike happened. And this is sort of the reason why this spike happened, and I like forgot to make a note there, was because we were running a lot of different paid advertisement campaigns. And so we were getting a lot more engagement on those posts because we were paying to have them get engaged with. On this thing right here, we released a new podcast, and that's why, a lot of people were engaging us there because they really enjoyed that podcast topic that we were talking about. So you can see that these are different ways that you can put your data together to help you understand what content you want to put out there. We can click on see all posts, and you can say, okay, on Thursday, we didn't really make any impressions. I wonder why. This is when the people are online. So you can see that there were really only 49 people online at that time, and there weren't, so maybe you don't post on Thursday, right? Because then there aren't that many people online. There's other things you could click on, so like the post types, and you can see, okay, your average reach is about 126 people when you're posting with an image, and then it's about 65 people when it's a link. In the business suite, you can kind of see your content, and you can see, okay, this one got 1.2. It reached 1.2 people. So it made that many, or 1.2, 1,200. And then you can see, oh, it got 46 link clicks. So this did really well. And you're kind of like, oh, I wonder why. And so you can, go. So it looks like it did well. It looks like that's kind of who your audience is. And so maybe if you think about reaching your audience in this way. So Angie said that there are a lot of people who, care about the arts and care about that type of like community. And then once you think about, oh, okay, the arts community, what do they care about? And like, what do they want to hear about? And how can we post about that stuff on our page so that they can interact with it and start sharing it as well? You can see that there was a spike here in May, and you're like, oh, I wonder why I had that spike in May. And so this is why I said like having like a spreadsheet is super helpful, because then you could just filter it by date and find that date and find that post that you have there. From Facebook, I think you could go to content, and then you could see the little export button up here. Okay, so you can see with the content here, it just downloaded your top performers. So you would have to download just like all the posts in general. It also looks like it didn't give us the link to the post. And so but it's nice because it gives you everything here. So the reach, the likes, the comments, the shares, and all I do is just copy this because it's in the same format that I have it, and I would just put it into my spreadsheet, because right now, or I guess it's the impressions are 1 over, but sorry, there's a lot on here. But I would just paste it. This is really cool. I think that this will give you a little bit more insights from like the other stuff we were talking about, like how to find your audience or how to reach them or how to talk to them. It seems like you have a variety of audiences on both Facebook and Instagram, which is great. Obviously, you have more in like the 25 to 44 range, which is typical for a lot of profiles because it is kind of like the generation that's using it. And it kind of seems like maybe you want to grow your younger generation a little bit more as well, too, to reach them. Your top cities, obviously, is Minneapolis is one of them because that's where you are based out of. Then you have St. Paul. These actually line up really well on Instagram and Facebook, your top 3, and then it looks like it breaks down from there to different areas in Minnesota. But the things you could do with this is that, oh, you're looking at your audience and you're like, oh, most of my audience is in Minneapolis. So maybe when I'm targeting them, like we talked about on Facebook, instead of doing, I think one of it was like Brooklyn Park. And also, I don't know, obviously the state, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're doing like Brooklyn Park, maybe you don't want to do just Brooklyn Park and you want to do the whole city because 25% of your population is there. I wanted to show you that there are different articles out there that are kind of like trusted, but like I said, I would do it based on your audience rather than based on their data, because I think their data is based off of like their type of audience or like, generalized data. And the next one I have is Hootsuite. So right now, this is just like Hootsuite. You could do a 30-day free trial. They used to have a basic plan, but I'm pretty sure they got rid of it. Yeah. The way Hootsuite works is that you can schedule all your content for, the month or for the week ahead. When you're thinking about using Hootsuite, you want to use it to your advantage. So you want to say, okay, I'm going to sit down for 4 hours on Sunday and schedule every post that I want to go out for the week. Or you can say, I'm going to spend a whole day just scheduling all these different posts and writing all the different content for the whole month. Then the other things is that if you do have a team, you could tag the team in here and you could talk to them and you could message like, hey, I saw this post. Can you respond back to them? Can you say something to them? Or, hey, like this post right here, like maybe it's not the best. You should probably just get rid of it so that it's not causing any more, drama or whatever else. So right now, the way that you're looking at is just building out an Excel calendar. There's actually templates on HubSpot and on that you can download, which I'll also include in the different links that I'll send out along with the PowerPoints at the end of this entire workshop series. What you're looking at right now is a template that I've used from HubSpot. And I've changed a lot of the stuff on the side to really fit my organization and our needs. This is a calendar from March. So if you look, you can see holiday, campaign, intelligence brief, giveaway, race to value, which is our podcast, newsletters, peer learning series, and a single topic email. So in all this stuff, you can now see along the calendar where I've kind of planned my social media days or just like my marketing days in general so that I can really understand what I need to do beforehand. And so on like February, like the first week of February, I'll create this calendar for March. And I'll think ahead to March and I'll say, okay, what are we doing? Our peer learning series is an event. We have a newsletter that goes out every Tuesday. So we need to know what content is in there. The 17th is St. Patrick's Day. So we'll have that. On the 18th, we want to release a new intelligence research brief for people. And then on Monday, we are going to release a new like race to value episode. And so this will give you like a big picture of what you need to talk about or what you need to think about. That includes like any hashtag holidays. So in the month of March, I don't think that there were any. So it, like those could probably be any hashtags that are like hashtag pet awareness day or hashtag what are those other days, like the like autism awareness day, or I think March might have been mental health month, so that could have been like a thing or topic that you talk about and put into this calendar so you know ahead of time. After that, then you could break it out to different weeks. So you can see here, like every week is on this calendar. And then I have the date, the different times that I will be posting at. So this is how I keep track of the times that I post things. The text will go in here, the link that I need, the campaign that it's part of, if it has a campaign, the image, if I want to use it. And then it's really nice because this template set up a character count for me so that I know I'm not going over on Twitter when I'm posting this content. And right here, I have a content repository. So if there are different blanks that I have that I need to fill, I'll fill them in. Like this right here is a blank. So I would have filled it in with something from my content repository for this time. I'll fill this calendar out the month beforehand so that I know along with this week. And then from there, I'll move on a week-to-week basis to fill it out, because doing it all in, or you could do it all in one setting, it doesn't matter. But this is a way to just really organize your thoughts and really get your brand out there and making sure that you're hitting the right targets as well. That's kind of one way to do it. It's a way to get everything on there, like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, any newsletters you have, any podcasts that you have. So it's all in one place so you know what's happening. From there, we can go over to Hootsuite. One of the great things here is that, okay, let me add a stream. And like, what does this stream consist of? And you could also search for like hashtags that you want to follow or other things. So we can do, so then or searching it, you can scroll through and see if anyone has mentioned, oh, Minnesota, oh, maybe they're an influencer, or maybe they've done something there that we can retweet or that we can share for our audience. So there are a lot of different things that you can do with like just setting up a stream, and you could follow hashtags that are related to your organization and like what's important to your organization as well, which I think is great, because then this is a way for you to be able to like find influencers, or a way for you to even just keep track of if someone's talking about your brand. It also doesn't have to be a hashtag that you're searching for either. So you can edit this, and your search query could just be Asian media access. And so now it kind of shows people who like have that or are talking about that in the timeline. And then you could use that to like reply to people or talk to people. And that's a great way to get your network out there, because then they're like, oh, like they replied to me, they had a really great comment, let me follow them and see like what other content that they post. We can go to our posts. So what I like to do is I like to go to the publisher and see like, okay, here are the different posts that we have for the day. And that's where this calendar maybe comes into help too, because then you could see, oh, here are the different posts I want to schedule. Let me copy and paste them over, or you can just create them straight into HubSpot. So I would select it. I would create the posts, select the social account. So maybe like the Twitter page. And also make sure, I would always include a link in your post. I would try not have links in your post. So that could be like that link there. So I would always recommend having an image. If your link doesn't have an image that auto populates, then I would select a file and like put it in there if you did have an image. The important thing is to like schedule it at, so most of the time, like for a week, I schedule it at the same time every day. So you can see here, in this old post calendar that I used to have it at 9, 12, 3, and 5. And those were the times that I would work with. And I did that for about like a month. And I realized, oh, I'm not getting that much engagement at 9 a.m. on my posts. So because of that, in the later months, I really only had a post at 11, and then I changed it to 2 o'clock. So to try to get more engagement. And then I kept the one at 5 o'clock because that one was always a post that would get the most impressions and the most views.
Can you talk a little bit how you choose those topics to matching with those months? Like if we have a mental health wellness month, you would do some of those posting as well?
Yeah, there is a hashtag calendar. 21. It is there's one on HubSpot that you can use. This is the template that I was talking about, but they also have this calendar. And usually I look at this calendar. So if we went back to March, there are so many different things that you can plan your content around that would be helpful for your organization. And so like on March 8th, it's International Women's Day. And these are like the different hashtags that go along with that. And you can make your organization like be something that's like similar to that. Or we did like National Doctors Day because we work with a lot of people in healthcare. This was April 1st and it was April Fool's, so that's a good one. Or World Autism Awareness Day. So this is kind of the social media tip sheet. There's a lot of text on there. I think when we were talking about it, the first thing we really wanted to understand is how to create like that strategy for your social media platform. So I put some questions in there that you could answer. Another thing on my tip sheet is that video content does really, really well on social media. Instagram Reels is taking over the Instagram algorithm, and obviously TikTok has become a really, really big thing. Facebook has more videos now, and even Twitter has videos now. And it's just an easy way to catch your audience's attention. And it's an easy way for them to digest it without even having to really think about it.